Here I have Sammi. She is one of our volunteers and a family also that we are supporting. We're going to talk to her and get real. And get the real truth on Sammi. All right, Sammi. So, can you tell me a little bit about what's going on?
Husband Frank, and my husband Frank, whenever my oldest son Frankie, who's 21 now, whenever he was 7, my husband was diagnosed with CML, which is chronic myelogenous leukemia. And I actually was pregnant with my other son Landon, who is 13 now. And so that was like whenever he was first diagnosed. And then Landon was born. So I am.
Look at me.
Okay. So yeah, I'm a mom of 4 boys. Then there's my husband Frank. He is He is diagnosed with chronic myelogenous leukemia, which he was diagnosed when Landon was first. Well, when I was conceived with Landon. Well,
Okay.
Conceived, I guess. When I was pregnant with Landon.
Okay.
So I was 2 months pregnant with Landon, and that's when Frank was diagnosed. So it was kind of rough because he was going through treatments and I was going through morning sickness.
Okay.
So there were nights where I was sick and going through pregnancy issues, and Frank was going through like his adjustment to his oral chemos. Like, so 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, he was having like extreme pains. I would wake up pregnant, 6 months, 7 months pregnant, be drawing him a hot bath in the middle of the night to help like with the pain with that.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
And everybody was sick.
Yeah, it was crazy. But then, like I said, Landon was born. We had a couple good years. I want to say when around Landon was 2, things started to kind of like go bad. Like, he started becoming resistant to his chemo drugs. Because the type of medicine he takes is an oral chemo. He just takes it every day, and as long as he takes that, it like keeps his levels really good. Like there's no remission or cure really for the type of leukemia that he has.
Okay.
So that's the only thing that like sucks. Like really the only thing that could get rid of it is a bone marrow transplant at this point. So like what he had to have done because his white blood counts like went through the roof. The first time he was hospitalized, his blood counts were at like 80-some thousand. And so they took him into Shadyside and they hooked him up to this machine. I can't remember what they call it, like Big Bertha, I think is what it was. And it's almost like a dialysis machine, where like it pulls your blood out and it spins it, and it would put the red blood cells in the platelets back in, and it would pull the white blood cells out. And you have to lay still for 4 hours. Yeah. Anybody that knows my husband would know that he's the most impatient man alive. He cannot sit still. Like at all. So the nurses were yelling at him. The doctors were coming in yelling at him because the blood was all mixing. I mean, it was insane. But eventually they got it. They got his blood cells like down to I think like 30,000.
What are they supposed to be?
White blood cells are supposed to be between 6,000 and 10,000.
Wow, and his was 80,000.
Because we're 80.
Oh,
that was the first
okay.
time. The second time he was hospitalized was a couple years later. And this time we took him into St. Margaret's just because it was closer. And so we pulled him into St. Margaret's because he was having such bad symptoms. And we didn't know if it was cancer related or if it was like something else. And his white blood cells were reading at 120,000.
Oh my goodness.
And he was having such bad migraines. And the way that his cancer doctor explained it to us was like, imagine sitting on, like everybody here knows 28. So imagine sitting on 28 at rush hour traffic and like just trying to like everybody in the city of Pittsburgh trying to get to the same place at one time. That's like 120,000 people trying to get to the same place at one time. That's what was going on with his white cells. They were all trying to go to the same place at one time. So they were like, it's just like combusting through your head is what they explained it. So they did the thing again. They transferred him to Shadyside, pulled the blood cells out. They got them down to 60,000. Ended up changing his medication because they said that his body stopped responding to the medication. So this was, I think, the second time his body had stopped responding to the cancer treatment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
So-
how has this affected your family?
It's been rough.
You now have how many children?
We've got
Four.
We've
Okay,
got
four children.
boys.
4 boys.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. And how has this affected you guys?
It's been rough because like the one thing that like people like even our own family members sometimes don't understand is like, I mean, we're constantly worried about Frank, but at the same time we're also constantly worried about our kids. Like Frank doesn't want our kids to see him suffering. Like he doesn't want this to affect our kids, and like he wants our kids to grow up with a normal life. And like, you know, there's been so many times, especially Landon, you know, like Frankie, he was a little bit older whenever like Frank got diagnosed. But with Landon, I mean, he grew up watching Frank in and out of the hospital. And Nico, I think, was affected the most. So Nico is our third son, and he was 6, 7 months old whenever Frank had his next issue, and they still don't know what caused it. Like, the cancer doctors will tell you that it's not from his cancer, but then the neurologist will tell you that it is from his cancer and his cancer meds, and they like just fight back and forth and trying to tell us what caused it. But one day he was actually out hunting with our son Landon. They were turkey hunting, and he just couldn't get, he wasn't able to walk. Like he literally had to bear crawl out of the woods with our son Landon. At that time, Landon was only, trying to think, 8 years old, maybe 7 years old. Yeah, and it was like youth day. So like imagine like your 7-year-old with your husband, like just trying to like help him get out of the woods. And he was like trying to help his dad crawl out of the woods.
It had been so traumatizing
Exactly.
for him.
And I mean, already him growing up watching his dad constantly in and out of the hospital sick. And so he called me and like, I'm like, how are you gonna drive home? He's like, I'm okay to drive, I couldn't walk. He's like, I couldn't put pressure on my legs. He's like, I can drive, I can get home. He's like, I just need to go to the emergency room, something's wrong. So whenever we got home, when he got home, we took him to St. Margaret because that was the closest hospital to us. And they did all the tests on him, and they told us that his spinal cord was decompressing and that he needed to have spinal cord reconstruction surgery. So at that time, there were orthopedic surgeons at St. Margaret's Hospital that operated on him. They did the operation, and he was in recovery. 2 weeks after he was in recovery, the operation, whatever they did, failed, and he lost his ability to walk again. So they had to go back in and they had to operate again. So the orthopedic surgeons again went in, they put rods and screws in the back of his neck. And this time he was in the hospital for like a couple of months recovering. And then Nico at this point was about 9 months old when this all happened. And actually the one day that we were visiting Frank in the hospital, he had just had his second surgery at St. Margaret's. And we just left visiting Frank, and I was driving home. We don't live far from St. Margaret's Hospital, so we live in Etna, which is maybe a 10-minute drive. And all of a sudden, Nico started like choking in the car seat. And I'm by myself, I pull over, I start freaking out. I get him out of the car seat, and he starts just throwing up everywhere. And I'm like panicking, like crying, like didn't know what to do. Luckily there was a Med Express, like right where I pulled over. So I like walk him over, like I left my car parked on the side of the road, but I walked him to the Med Express. And like I told them, like, I have a 9-month-old baby, he's literally choking on his throw up in the car, like I don't know what to do. Their answer was, take him to Children's. I'm like, I can't drive to Children's. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon, rush hour traffic, by myself. like, how do you expect me to take them to children's at this point, you know?
So it seems like you've been doing this a lot on your own.
A lot, like, a lot of it was on my own.
And what about now?
I mean, now, like, Frank's home, he's okay, but a lot of it is still, I mean, it's us, but we're on our own, like, you know, it's us against the world.
What about working-wise?
Well, I work from home. When Frank first got hurt, luckily at that point, my job, like, I had just gotten transferred to a new department. And my new department was really flexible with working from home. And they were awesome. Like, my bosses, everything, were super, like, awesome with what was going on, what was happening. And they even let me train from home.
Okay.
And I have been pretty much based at home for 7 years now. During COVID, I was like the go-to person for people that were having issues, like adjusting to working from home, because I mean, it's a hard adjustment when you go from working in the office full time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to having to work at home and be virtual and then, you know, do everything virtual and like, it is. I mean, it's a really hard adjustment, but I had already been through that. So like, I was the go-to person that people could like ask questions like, you know, how did you adjust to this, you know? Well, I was actually just told that after I just got approved for permanent base from home, because they had started to make people go back into the office since COVID just recently, and I had to apply for based at home, like permanently. And I applied for it, I was approved for it, and now all of a sudden, they came back after I was approved for based at home, not even like 6 months ago.
No.
And they tell me that the corporation is saying that if I don't live over 50 miles away from an office, that they want everybody to start coming back into the office 60% of the time.
How does it affect you?
Me, it has been a nightmare. My anxiety has been through the roof. I've had panic attacks, haven't been able to sleep. I mean, I literally, since they have told me, I've done nothing but cry. And then I tried to get the paperwork, because they said there's paperwork that my doctor could fill out. And of course, I go to get the paperwork for my doctor, and my PCP that I have had for, I can't even tell you how many years, he was amazing. My husband actually went to high school with him, and he has been through everything with us. Like, all of my kids, other than Landon, he was their doctor from the time they were born. I think Landon was maybe 2 or 3. That's how long we've known as a PCP. He left. And so, like, we've had to see another PCP in the practice. And, I mean, our new PCP is great, too. Like, I like him. But he was on vacation.
Oh my goodness, girl, you have been through some shit.
Yeah.
You have
So,
really
yeah.
been through it.
Yeah. I literally say, like, you know, that saying where they say that, like, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. Well, God must think that I'm a total badass, because
Absolutely.
Yeah, because like literally it's insane.
Okay.
But yeah.
Alright, so you're going to Disney.
Yes.
You're
Thank
going to
you.
Disney Day. You're welcome. Why Disney? Why a vacation? Why? What is this going to do for you?
Honestly,
Do you think this is going to do for you and your family? That's what I want to know. That's what I need to get to.
we have not been, I mean, we go to Topsail, North Carolina, usually every year, because that is where my husband's family, they have a beach house down there.
Okay.
And that's usually where we go. And honestly, that's where our honeymoon was. Like, it's just our place. Like, if I could retire there, if I could move there now, that's probably where I would move to. It's just, you know, but it's on a vacation to us. It's like a second home.
Mm-hmm.
So we've not been on a vacation, I can tell you, in I don't know how many years.
Okay.
And, like, we have not been to Disney.
Okay.
Frank's only been to Disney once in his life. Landon was 6 months old when we went. Frankie was 7, and Nico and Stefan have never been.
Okay.
And Nico, I mean, he's like I said, he's borderline on the spectrum. Like when he was, like I said, going through all this with his dad, he ended up with a developmental disorder. They said he had PTSD from his dad being in the hospital and having to visit his dad in the hospital. So Nico, you know, from seeing everything on TV and the Disney, he's constantly, I want to go to Disney. I want to go to Disney. He watches YouTube videos and he wanted to be a YouTube star so he could raise enough money for us to go to Disney. Like that was his thing. Like he was trying to have his own YouTube channel so that we could go to Disney. And so I just think that, like, you know, they say Disney is the place of like dreams and magic. And I mean, I haven't even been to all the Disney parks. Like I've only been to Magic Kingdom and then like Universal. Never been to SeaWorld down there. I haven't been to SeaWorld since it was in Ohio when I was a little girl. So like this is all gonna be like even new to us.
Okay.
And and even Frankie, like Frankie's my older son, he's 21 and he's gonna be coming on the trip. And that's what Frank is most excited about too, is that all of us are gonna be together and it's a family trip. And we haven't had that, and I can't even tell you how long. Probably since Nico was 2 years old, and he's gonna be 7 years old soon.
Okay. When we go to countdown, the countdown is less than 60 days. We have less than 60 days as of right now. Sammi and her family will be going to Disney World, so we do have a donate button up for them. If you want to send this sweet girl and her family to Disney, and please click that donate button and help them get there. This girl has literally been through it all. And I hope that your friend gets better.
Me too.
That's number one. I have all of your dreams come true. I hope you are able to stay home from work.
Me too. I'm waiting.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're counting down the days.
It's into HR, so it's up with my HR.
All right, well, if you're in HR, I won't tell you where she works, but if you're in HR, please let this girl stay home. She needs to. And thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And I hope you enjoy your day.
Oh, me too.
Making their dreams come true. At Jamie's Dream Team, it's the next dream that is our most important one. It only happens because of great people like you. Help us make their dreams come true by donating or volunteering at jamiesdreamteam.org.